Since we're in Chicago, being governor of Illinois, you have to balance the needs of downstate versus the collar counties versus Chicago. But in your budget, how does that vote for the public schools, the Chicago public schools specifically?
Yeah, so I first, to make it clear to everybody, as you know, it's a big state, and there are an awful lot of people outside of not just Cook County, not just Chicago and Cook County and the collar counties, but all over the state that are suffering the same challenges that we have here in Chicago, many of them. You hear the same issues around school funding across the state. They vary in degree, but we've underfunded our schools so significantly, everybody feels the pain, everybody. And we continue to have a challenge in the city of Chicago because the school funding formula for the state has not worked for so many years now. And what would happen each year, and it was by an understanding that occurred for so many years, is that we needed to have a separate appropriation on top of the school funding formula for the city of Chicago, except for one thing. This governor wants to bankrupt Chicago public schools. So when there was a bill to actually send $215 million to Chicago public schools, what did he do? He vetoed it. Now, there is a school funding plan that is on his desk, or will be shortly. It's been passed by the House and the Senate that would bring, as I understand it, $300 million to the city of Chicago. The school funding formula itself needs to be completely revamped, and that's in this plan that's been put on his desk. And without opining about the value or the benefit of that particular plan, I would just tell you that the city of Chicago's share of the funding formula is wrong. And we've been fighting for so many, this is maybe the most important thing, we've been fighting over scraps for so many years all across the state that, we've gotten to this point where there's this argument that goes on that says, well, my district is getting disadvantaged over your district, and how are we going to, deal with that disparity? The disparity is evident in the city of Chicago, it's evident. And we're going to need a funding formula that takes care of and has a kind of a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 methodology, where tier 1 is all about serving the kids who have been underserved for so many years. That should be the top of the formula, if you ask me. And then we need to make sure we're paying for schools, because it shouldn't be that any school district is more disadvantaged than it is today. We need to step up to the plate. Nobody is really talking about that. That's something that I think that we've been underfunding schools for so many years, and we have not had a governor who stepped up and said, this is wrong, we have to restore our schools to their once greatness. Now, I want to say one other thing. We need to bring back into our high schools vocational training. So yes, every kid that wants to go to college should go to college in this state. But there are lots of kids who will choose not to go to college, or their parents can't let them go for a little while. They need them near home for one reason or another. And it shouldn't be that when you graduate from high school that you can't get a job, a skilled labor job. It should be that you can either get the skill while you're in high school, or you can get the skill shortly after you leave high school. But it shouldn't be that you're just left out, graduating high school and not being able to get a job. So we need to put vocational training back. I heard recently that there are only 6 carpenters left in all of CPS. 6 carpenters that are doing, minimal amounts. I mean, they're doing incredible work, those 6 carpenters, but it's minimal amount of vocational training that's going on. We need to bring it back.
Wow, I'm telling you, for once I'm stumped. This is,
let me, if I may address just one other thing here. I think it's important to focus on another aspect of our state that's been ignored. Here we sit in the city of Chicago, and for the rest of the state, we are the economic engine of the state of Illinois today in the city of Chicago, though there are so many neighborhoods that get left out of that. But when you look at the overall economics of the state and you head downstate, remember, that so much of downstate now has lost manufacturing jobs, has been left behind. Nobody is helping to create small businesses across the state. And so you go to many counties, and really there are two industries, they're the biggest industries. There's either education industry in that, so it's a university or it's the schools, the K-12 schools, it's a correctional institution. And we shouldn't be trying to build more correctional institutions and pushing more kids or adults into prison as a kind of industry in this state. And instead we need to create jobs. And one of the things that I think is so important, and something that I've been doing, I don't know if any of you have heard of 1871, but 1871 is a small business incubator.